Previously on Kenshi, Tale of the Blade. The devil and the dog traversed the great desert, a place that was long ago home to Cat, a home that he was now returning to. The blade, as ever, sought blood, and it found the blood of skimmers, insect-like desert creatures that hide beneath the sand, waiting to ambush their starving prey. Yet for Cat and dog, this was just like any other day. In time, the duo happened upon a mining port, seated at the edge of the world. As Cat drew nearer, he saw the telltale signs of slavery. People not unlike himself in chains. All he wanted was a chance to have a cold drink, in a moment to brush the sand from his skin. Yet the blade knew better, for while Cat's wanted poster is far out of date, the blade has never changed. An almighty fight broke out. Cat, eager to stretch those limbs of his, struck down many. In the commotion, bells rang out. The slaves were fighting back. Be it his intention or not, Cat had started something. The intensity of the fight drew the very best the slavers had to offer. Samurai of the United Cities, clad in heavy armor, with blades so sharp they'll slice your bones. Cat stood and fought as long as he could. Retreat, while surrounded such as he was, wasn't an option. After what felt like hours, the man finally fell. An arrow to the head. Consciousness left Cat then. So too did much of his blood. As he slowly succumbed to the darkness, he felt the blade lifted from his hands. What shall become of the devil? Blood-soaked sands and a storm raging. The morning sun rises. A whole night has passed, and our wielder, Cat, yet lives. Yet Cat is not the same. During the night, his head wound was patched up, his hair shaven, his neck and his legs shackled, and all of his possessions gone. As that morning light touches his skin, his mind burns with pain and rage. The blade wanted a fight, and it certainly got one. Was it seeking someone stronger? Was Cat not enough? The thoughts plagued him, yet in amongst those thoughts, he could still hear the sounds of resistance. All that remained of the prior day's fight was a graveyard of blades and armor, the sands already swallowing the blood of the fallen. The manhunters and the slave masters were still putting down resistance wherever they found it, putting the injured back to work, uncaring, inhuman, monstrous. And as for Cat's companion, there was no sign of dog in the morning. Had some hungry fiend made off with them, or had the pup escaped? Cat hoped for the latter, and hope wasn't something he had a lot of right now. Yet he still had his strength and his limbs attached. Yet that wasn't entirely true. He was missing his most important limb of all, the blade. It had become an extension of him over the years. Now without it, he felt empty, hollow, less of the warrior he was. Perhaps this was all a test, a way for him to prove himself to the blade. Yes, he would not die in this cell. He would be free, and he would find it. Yet the task would not be so simple. There were others around him, proud Shek warriors, brought low. Some picked at their locks ineffectively. Yet Cat knew a thing or two about locks. His time spent with the shinobi thieves had taught him a thing or two. When the time was right, he would escape. When the time was right, he would be free. Yet that bolt to his head wouldn't make it so easy. His vision was blurred, his ears ringing. He would need time to recover first, and so he would wait while others tried to escape, wait while others looked to him. the devil that carried the meteoric blade. They looked to him with hope, the same hope that he had for the blade. Their hope was misplaced. Day and night came and went. The fighting hadn't stopped, and Cat was healing. Even traders were actively being attacked as the slavers attempted to quell any signs of rebellion. Cat was unaware that some of those that fought outside the city walls were in fact bounty hunters. While word may travel slowly throughout the desert, it still travels, and word of the devil's capture had already made its way into the heart of the United Cities. The bloodbath continued as the flowing sands buried the many falling bodies. Cat was far from 100%, yet if he was going to escape, he'd have to try to do so soon before hunger weakened him too much. Just outside his cell lay one of his first aid kits, along with his discarded samurai leg plates. It wasn't much armor, but it was a start. Firstly, he would start with his shackles, using a small shard of metal from the cage. With a satisfying click, he removed them. Next came the cage itself, a far more difficult task, but one the Cat was determined to succeed. The cage was difficult, stubborn, not unlike Cat himself. The sun was already far higher than he would like. There would be no slipping away in darkness. No, he'd need to grab what he can and make for the desert. And with yet another click, finally, success. Now was the time to act. Darting through the building, grasping the nodachi of a fallen foe, Cat grabbed at whatever he could. Darting towards the desert, he sought to leave the slavers in his tracks, running as fast as his legs would carry him. The sands whipped against him, but he could not, would not stop. Yet as he crossed another dune, it seemed for the moment his pursuers had given up. Yet not all. One still followed. Cat had seen determination like this before in himself. The slaver would not give up, and so Cat would make them. Cat took a turban from the downed slaver who would offer him some protection from the raging sandstorm. It was in that storm that Cat could make out another, an outlaw farmer, injured, discarded by her clan. Finally, as exhaustion found her, so too did Cat. He offered what little assistance he could. He was no doctor, but the bandages from that slaver would help, if only a little. Rising to her feet, with a nod, she left Cat, continuing on whatever journey she was on. Finally, having a moment to breathe, Cat had escaped. For now, he was safe. But in the desert, the word safe has very little meaning without food and water. To make matters worse, it seemed that the slaver that Cat slew was not quite dead, more than likely returning to the rest of her band to report the whereabouts of Cat. He could not linger here. Yet, while he did, a pleasant change of fate arrived. Hivers, a whole trade caravan, not yet attacked by the irate Slavers Guild. From them, he could find the supplies he needs. Cat had little to offer in the way of cats, except for a number of books that were strapped to the back of the chest piece he stole. 8 ration bags. Quickly devouring the first, Cat had a shot at survival now. Yet the sun beating down overhead was strong. Stronger, some would say, than the force of a shake plank. Cat watched the caravan wander for a moment. Part of him wanted to follow them, offer his service as a bodyguard. It wouldn't be his first time, but Cat wasn't finished here. Cat would not be whole. Not until he had that blade back. And then there was Dog. That mutt had to be alive. Cat Cat wouldn't accept any other option, yet he could not remain in one place for long. The slavers would have search parties out. Traveling during the day under the weight of the sun would not be easy, but he had little choice. If only he could find some form of shelter. That's when he saw it. In the distance, something sticking out of the sands. It was certainly no house, but anything that could offer him a modicum of shade would certainly be welcome. And so Cat pushed on, drawing ever closer, the small parts of his exposed flesh stinging under the heat of the sun. Then, finally, shelter. A small piece of ancient steel sticking out of the sands. It would brace him against the wind and offer a small portion of shade, a godsend in country such as this. Cat managed to pull together just enough wood to get a small fire going. He knew that the small trail of smoke would not travel far, but the smell? Now that certainly would. And if he knew anything about dog, it was that mud could smell cooking meat a mile away. The rations were already dry, but what little moisture was in them was charred away as the scent drifted across the landscape. And then, in a moment that would bring joy to the sullen heart of Cat, footsteps and an old friend. Dog ate greedily. It had been many nights since the two were separated, and desert survival is difficult, even for a bone dog as formidable as this one. Cat took his time, seeing to the wounds of his friend. He could have lost Dog so easily back there. And all for what? A good fight? He could feel it, sense it, the poison that the blade had leaked into his mind. And yet, even while he was aware of it, he was not immune to it. He knew it had not gone far. Moving an artifact like that, it's dangerous. It would be kept safe, hidden, or wielded by one who thought themselves worthy. Perhaps the leader of the port. It had to be there still, somewhere. There was no reality in which Cat would be able to defeat every single slaver at the port. He had his limitations. He knew that. Especially without the blade in his hand. And so he would need to take another approach. As the sun started to lower, Cat would plan that approach. Just like navigating the ancient runes, stealth and silence would be the way to win. Leaving behind his leg plates, chest armor and boots, Cat could move more freely. With the last of the light slipping below the horizon, Cat would say farewell to Dog once again. He wouldn't risk losing them. Not again. And so, into the night he went, lit, for now, by his fog light, moving in the silent ways shown to him by the shinobi thieves. Cat crossed the sands swiftly, and in another turn of fate, a sandstorm traveled with him, making it all the more easier to get close. Yet even with all the stealth in the world, there would be no way that Cat could pass the gate. He, however, had other plans. This was a port, after all. Silently, he pushed off. There was a narrow entrance to the north of the port. If he could just slip in there. Silently, he approached, and with ease, he was through. The whole settlement seemed quieter, yet slavers still patrolled, traveling back and forth. And at the center of it all, a great big tower, swimming to the edge of the water. Cat would trek along its edge, each movement calculated. He crept ever closer. He could see mercenaries, bounty hunters. As of yet, no samurai. But that would change, as, no surprise to Cat, the tower was guarded. 2 samurai, with deadly arms and strong armor. Yet their helmets could be a weakness. Right now, their attention was fixated on the cells in the distance. A commotion was occurring nearby. If Cat was fast, he may slip by them yet. Their focus still distant. He would need speed on his side. And he had it. With that, now came the next trial. Cat was working as quickly as he could. While the sand was offering him some form of cover, it was also making it difficult to see. But there it is. The click he needed. The door's open. Cat is in. Closing it behind him, he would have a short while to search. There was a blade on a table close by, yet it was not the one that Cat sought. The corner safe would be the first place to check, yet the lock would take him time. Treasures of a different kind. Water and food cubes. Treasures, certainly, but not the ones he sought right now. He would need to try upstairs, and as Cat, slowly but surely, creeps ever closer to that second floor. That is where we shall be ending things for today's episode. A cliffhanger, I know, but what awaits Cat is far more than we have time for right now. And so, as the sands buffet against the palace, our imaginations shall run wild. But for now though, I would like to thank each and every one of you for joining me for yet another episode here on the continent, in the world of Kenshi. I really cannot wait to eventually stitch this story into one big movie for all of you. But Cat's tale is still far from done as of yet. And while the sun may be rising here, in our next episode, we'll uncover exactly what has gone down inside those walls. And while we are here, let's have a little look at our lad Cat to see how he's improved so far. 84 strength, 93 toughness, 76 dexterity, and 36 perception. His katana skill is currently sitting at 73, his melee attack 75, and his defense 79. And he put that stealth skill to the test today, with it now sitting at 67. Legionnaires, I ask you all, if you enjoyed today's episode, please consider leaving a comment or a like to let me know if you enjoyed the show. As for now, I have been Rycon. You have all been awesome. And until next time, stay